When war broke out in 1914, Harry and Edward Colver were eager to sign up. The two brothers came from a large family in Sheffield, an industrial city in the north of England that at the time was known worldwide for the quality and quantity of steel that it produced. Harry and Ted's father, Robert Colver, co-owned one of the largest steel works in the city. Many of the armaments and material used by the British Expeditionary Forces during the war were made of steel from the Colver works. Robert Colver's daughter, Charlotte Colver, sister of Harry and Ted, was my grandmother. The Colver clan, wealthy and close-knit, consisted of 5 daughters and 5 sons, 2 of whom had already met early deaths by the time war broke out. These long-dead forebears of mine left a rich heritage for subsequent generations: photo albums, jewelry, souvenirs, account books, and, most important, letters. For a historian like me, personal letters have a magic all of their own. I can almost hear the writer speak to me across time and distance. Letters between family members are spontaneous, unself-conscious. Hastily scrawled notes reflect the correspondent's rush to get on with life. Carefully phrased missives suggest that the writer may be anxious about the recipient's reactions. The gritty texture of daily life is captured on the page. Harry and Ted Colver used expressions that I remember from my Sheffield childhood. The 2 young Colver lads took different routes into battle. 23-year-old Ted was the first to enroll. He joined the 455th Field Company of the Royal Engineers as a lieutenant. This company was composed largely of Yorkshiremen like himself, and it began its training further south in Warwickshire. Ted's early letters are cheerful and excited. The weather was glorious. The regiment had been told they might expect a visit from the king, he wrote to my grandmother. But in April 1915, Ted's company had shipped out of Britain across the Mediterranean en route to Turkey. From now on, his letters are headed Gallipoli Peninsula. Soon, his letters betray a growing sense of isolation and uncertainty. There's a hint of bravado in his assurance that, quote, "We're all quite used to the noise of the guns and are getting quite expert at knowing whether the shell is coming our way." But the fighting was brutal. After one engagement, he wrote to his mother, "I was so done up myself that I collapsed in Wilfrid's dugout and sobbed and laughed hysterically. Wilf gave me OXO and brandy and put me to bed, and I didn't wake up for 14 hours. That was a rare confession. In general, Ted kept the tone of his letters light. May 14, 1915, Gallipoli. My dear mother, very many thanks for your letter of the 22nd, which arrived this morning. You'd like the weather here. It's lovely and fine every day, if a little too hot during the middle of the day for working. We're up every morning with the sun and kept very busy road making and preparing water supply. We're still feeding on bully beef and biscuit, but as they now issue us with dried veg, we have the lot made into a very excellent stew with the aid of an OXO cube. We're looking forward to parcels of eatables from England by the next mail, which should arrive any day now. Tell Anthony I'll send him a Turkish bayonet sometimes. The Turks amuse themselves every morning by shelling the road on which we're working for about an hour. But as the whole place is just a huge human rabbit warren, we drop into a neighboring trench and watch the fireworks until it's over, and then proceed with our work again. The papers and illustrators which are sent out to us are very acceptable, as it gives us something to read in the middle of the day when we're resting, and also lets us know, even if a little late, what's happening in France. Now that things have got fairly well going, we have a daily pamphlet called the Peninsula Press, which contains the official news from England and France. But what is lacking in news is amply made up for by rumors, and wonderful ones they are too, with the result that we daren't believe anything unless we see it in writing from a reliable source. As I must go and do some more work, I will end with love to all. Your loving son, Ted.